So, good day, ma'am. I am the next reporter, and I am Sweetly Ella Espanola. I will be reporting the lesson 9, grading and reporting of test results. So, this is the objective. So, you're expected to learn how to assess and communicate learners' level of achievement and performance through fair, accurate, and meaningful grading and reporting methods. Significant culminating performance tasks and success indicators at the end of the lesson. You should be able to demonstrate your knowledge and skills in grading and reporting learners' level of performance of achievement. You are considered successful in this culminating performance task if you have satisfied the following indicators of success. So the first column is the performance task, which is assigning grades, reporting level of performance, and achievements. And the second column is the success indicators. Identify the different methods of scoring for grading for test results. Assign grades that correspond to test scores to report learners' level of performance and achievement. Report test performance and progress using different test scores. So, these success indicators, um, it will be considered successful if we achieve these success indicators. The next slide. Prerequisite of this lesson. So when you say prerequisite, it is anything you need to know or understand before learning or understanding something new. So grading and reporting learners' test performance is a complex task. So when you say complex task, it is something that is complex. It is something that is difficult to do or difficult to understand. And kung sa Tagalog pa, it is komplikadong gawin. Just like that. So it requires specific knowledge, skills, and experience. So to perform successfully the above culminating performance task, you should be able to understand the purpose of assigning grades, identify different methods of scoring and grading test performance, differentiated various types of test scores, and interpret test results based on norms and process standards. So before to perform it successfully, the above culminating performance task, you should have first to understand the purpose why you assigning these grades to your students, and identify the different methods of scoring so that there is a fair and accurate assigning of grades. So that is next slide. So grading and reporting are fundamental elements in the teaching learning process. So grading and reporting are fundamental elements. It is a necessary, yes, assignment of grades represent the teacher's assessment of the learner's performance on the test and on the desired learning outcomes as a whole. As such, it is important that the basis and criteria for grading, scoring, and reporting test results are clearly established and articulated from the very start of the course. Besides, grades are symbolic representations that summarize the quality of learners' work and level of achievement. Teachers should ensure that grading and reporting of learners' test results are meaningful, fair, and accurate. To learn how to assign grades and report learners' test performance in a meaningful and effective manner, it is important that you review your prior knowledge and experiences as well as the standards or policies used by your institution in grading and reporting learners' performance in the test and the course as a whole. You may also need to read books and other references on the topics to validate your prior knowledge. So, how teachers assess and grade students' work. The overall performance and achievements. So, ang bata, So, sa overall niyang achievements and performance, one na iyang grades. So, iyang grades stands for iyang performance o ang iyang mga achievements is at the end of the day, mauna na ang kung saan pa mauna na ang iyang katas ng tagumpay. So that is the summarize ang iyang grades, summarize sa iyang mga performance and achievements throughout the years. So, and of course, so teachers should ensure that grading and reporting of learners' tests are meaningful, fair, and accurate. So, dapat ang teacher i-ensure to niya nga ang paghatag og grade sa iyang bata is meaningful and dapat fair and accurate. Kasi there is a case kasi nga ang uban mga teacher is dili sila fair maghatag og na kasi diba ang uban mag-question ang mga bata nga nganong inani man nga taas man akong grade sa final exam, taas akong grade sa quiz. So, dapat, as a teacher, dapat i-ensure nimo nga ang imong paghimo sa grades bata is accurate and dapat fair jud siya. So, to and to learn how to assign grades and report learners' test performance in a meaningful and effective manner, it is important that you review your prior knowledge. It is very important that you have to review your prior knowledge and experience as well as the standards or policies used by your institution in grading and reporting learners' performance in the test and the course as a whole. So, as a teacher, you may also need to read books and other references of the topics related to that specific subject so that ma-enhance ang imo knowledge and skills. So, what are the purpose of grading and reporting learners' test performance? There are various reasons why we assign grades and report learners' test performance. Grades are alphabetical or numerical symbols marks that indicates the degree to which learners are able to achieve the intended learning outcomes. Grades do not exist in a vacuum but are part of the instructional process and serve as feedback loop between the teacher and learners. They are one of the ways to communicate the level of learning of the learners and specific course content. They give feedback on what specific topics learners have mastered and what they need to focus more when they review for summative assessment or final exams. In a way, grades serve as a motivator for learners to study and do better in the next test to maintain or improve their final grade. So, generally, the importance of grading is to evaluate individual learning and performance. So, provide feedback about how much they know and how effective their efforts to learn have been. So, grade serves as a motivator for learning. Yes, it is. It is a motivator for the students. So, kasi inani kasi na ang mga students is pagdako ang ilang grade, so ma-motivate pa dyan na sila nga to study hard para ma-maintain ilang grade. So, yes, grade serves as a motivator for learners to study hard and do better in the next test so that ma-maintain nila ang ilaang grade. And so for that, next slide. So grades also gives the parents who have the greatest stake in learners' education information about their children's achievements. They provide teachers some basis for their teaching and achievements. They provide They provide teachers some basis for their teaching and learning practices and for identifying learners who need further educational intervention. They are also useful to school administrators who want to evaluate the effectiveness of the instructional programs in developing the needed skills and competences of the learners. So, grading and reporting systems also inform parents and guardians of students on the process of the work. Grades and reports communicate objectives to parents so they can promote learning and likewise communicate how well objectives were met so parents can better plan. So, what are the different methods in scoring tests or performance tasks? So there are various ways to score and grade results in multiple choice tests. Traditionally, the two most commonly used scoring methods are number right scoring (NR) and negative marking. So the number right scoring or NR entails assigning positive values only to correct answers while giving a score of 0 to incorrect answers. The test score is the sum of the scores for correct responses. One major concern with this scoring method is that learners may guess the correct answer by guessing, thus affecting. So for the number right scoring, it is just entails for the correct answer. It is only for a correct answer. So, just like for example, the correct answer is for the item 1 is the correct answer is letter B. So if you choose the letter B, so you get the 1 point. So if you choose the letter A, either the letter C or D, so if you choose that letter, so it means you're wrong. So this number right scoring is just for the only correct answer. So here's the example. The test reliability and validity. Example. Solve for 3 times x plus 8 minus x minus 12 is equal to negative 28. A, x is equal to 32. B, x is equal to 8. C, x is equal to 8 and letter D is x is equal to negative 32. For the above item, the correct answer is letter D. So the correct answer is letter D, x is equal to negative 32. And this will merit a score responses other than D will be given 0. So, para sa konggingan nga ganiha, nga dapat ang correct answer lang jud. Kay og imo ang answer is example, the wrong answer is the letter A, B, and C. So, if imong napiling answer is A, which is incorrect, so it is considered as 0. So, understand. So, next. Negative marking or NM entails assigning positive values to correct answers while punishing the learners for incorrect responses. Right minus wrong correcting method. In this model, a fraction of the number of wrong answers is subtracted from the number of correct answers. Other models for this type of scoring method include giving a positive score to correct answer while assigning no mark for omitted items and rewarding learners for not guessing by awarding points rather than penalizing learners for incorrect answers. The recommended penalty for an incorrect answer is 1 divided by n negative 1, where n stands for the number of choices. For the above item scoring will be as follows. So learners who choose letter D will be given a score. Those who left the item unanswered will be given a 0 point. And those who chose A, B, C, or E will get a negative score. The total score is then computed by adding the score 1, 0, negative 0.25 across all items. For example, in 10 items. If a learner gets 6 items correct, 2 items wrong, and left 2 items unanswered, then the total score is 5.5. So, ina na siya. Ako explain. So, example, there na 10 items. So, akong students is naka-correct og 6 items. So, na siya 6 points. So, naa siya duha ka item nga wala na ansiran. So, it is considered as 0. 0 siya kay wala man yan ansiran. Unlike kung iyang unlike inani, napoy duha ka item nga giansiran niya pero wrong. So, katong duha niya nga wrong is naato siya equivalent to siya sa negative 0.25. Nga lang nag-negative 0.25 man siya. So, para sa itong formula ganiha, 1 divided by, ang n stands for number of, ang katong mga options, katong A, B, and C, there are 4. So, 1 divided by 4 is equal to negative 0.25. So, mo na to siya. So, naa siya equivalent nga negative 0.25 ang katong wala niya giansiran. Ay, ang iyang giansiran pero incorrect. So, katong wala niya giansiran is makonsider siya nga walay points. So, mo na siya 1, 0, negative 0.25 across all items. So, mag-total siya og mana na ka example. So, sa item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, ang iya ang correct answer is 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, og 10. So, total siya og 6 points. So, iyang 2 og iyang 6 is wala niya giansiran, so 0 siya. Pero ang iyang 3 og 7, giansiran niya pero wrong. So, negative 0.25, negative 0.25. So, total of 1 plus 0 plus negative 0.25 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus negative 0.25 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So, 6 plus negative 0.50 is equal to 5.5. So, mo siyang na 5.5. So, both NR and NM methods of scoring multiple choice tests are prone to guessing, which affect test validity and reliability. As a result, non-conventional scoring methods were introduced, which include partial credit scoring methods, multiple answer scoring method, retrospective correcting for guessing, and standard setting scoring method. So, madiscuss natin is the next slide. So, sa partial credit scoring methods attempt to determine a learner's degree of a level of knowledge with respect to each response option given. This method of scoring takes into account partial knowledge mastery of learners. It acknowledges that while learners cannot always recognize the correct response, they can discern that some responses options are clearly incorrect. There are 3 formats of partial credit scoring method. So, sa partial credit scoring methods, there are learners kasi nga dili jud nila something nga ma-determine, dili sila sure sa ilang answer, pero ma-determine nila asa ang mali ato. So, there are formats partial credit scoring methods. So, the first is liberal multiple choice test. It allows learners to select more than one answer to a question if they feel uncertain which option or alternative is correct. So, the liberal multiple choice test is they are free to choose one or select more than one. So, to a question, if kung feel nilang gaduha sila, tapos kung asa jud lang ang pinaka-correct. So, allow sila nga mo select more than one. So, number 3 is elimination testing, ET. It instructs learners to cross out all alternatives they consider to be incorrect. So, ang student is, kung feel nila ang letter A is incorrect, so i-eliminate na to nila. So, ang B o C o D na lang ang ilang option. So, kung feel nila ang letter B is wrong, so i-eliminate na sa to nila. So, ang nabili na lang is C o D. So, handod nga, ma-eliminate nila ang incorrect, so makuha nila ang correct answer. So, mao na ang elimination testing. So, confidence weighing CW. It asks learners to indicate that they is the correct answer and how confident they are about their choice beliefs. So, sa confidence weighing, so, if ang student is confident sila sa ilang answer, so, dili na sila muhawaan ng answer. So, panindigan na nila nga answer. Kung feel nila mauna na ang the best answer and correct, so, wala na ipagduwa-duwa, mauna to ila ang answer. So, mauna ang confidence weighing. So, Linda obtained a score of 55% in her reading test. What does her score mean? Justify your answer. A. Linda got 55% of the test items correct. Letter B. Linda was able to answer correctly more than half of the items. Letter C. Linda obtained a row score lower than those obtained by 55% of his peers. Letter D. If the test has 60 items, Linda would probably have 33 correct answers. So in the next slide, we will see the this A, B, C, and D has a score response, which is options A, B, C, and letter D. So, as what I have said, tanan nga option has each response and has an assigned score. So, letter A has 3 points, which is, since the score was presented in percent, this is the correct interpretation. So, letter B get 1 point. While the interpretation may be correct, it does not give a more specific meaning to the score. Besides, the same interpretation can also be applicable to scores higher than 51%. Letter C has 0 points. This interpretation is wrong, as this interpretation is applicable to a score of 55th percentile rank. So letter D has 2 points. This interpretation gives an example how the score was computed. So, ani paunsa mag-score gamit ang rational corresponding. So, let's proceed to the next slide. Scored multiple answers scoring method allows learners to have multiple answers, may be the same for each item. In this method, learners are instructed that each item has at least one correct answer or how many answers are correct. Items can solve only if all the correct response options are marked but none of incorrect. Others, incorrect options that are marked can lead to negative scores. Science 2011 found that multiple answers and single answer item have discrimination power. Item difficulty. Science 2011 found that multiple answers and single answers items have the same discrimination power. Item difficulty and reliability indicates. However, multiple answers method is more difficult to solve, has lower discrimination power, and takes more time to answer. Going back to the previous example, what if the above item was stated as Linda obtained a score of 55% in her reading test? What is or are the possible interpretations of her score? So A. Linda gets 55% of the test items correct. B. Linda was able to answer correctly more than half of the items. Linda obtained a row score lower than those obtained by 55 of his peers. B. If the test has 60 items, Linda would probably have 33 correct answers. So the above item is a type of multiple answer test and would require a different scoring method. Learners who choose response option A, B, and D will get 1 point each. As such, if a learner chooses option A and D, he or she will obtain a score of 2 for that item. If she chooses options A, B, and D, he or she will get 3 points. Learners who choose the wrong option will be penalized using the negative marking method. So, ano na siya? So scored multiple answer scoring method allows learners to have multiple answers with the same for each item. In this method, learners are instructed that each item has at least one correct answer or how many answers are correct. Items can solve only if all the correct response options are marked but none of the incorrect others. Incorrect options that are marked can lead to negative scores. Fine 2011 found that multiple answers and single answer items have the same discrimination power item difficulty and reliability indices. However, multiple answers method is more difficult to solve, has lower discrimination power, and takes more time to answer. So, going back to the previous example, what if the above items was stated as Linda obtained a score of 55% in her reading test? What are the possible interpretations of her score? So, the above item is a type of multiple answer. So, sa katong nga example na siya multiple answer. So, bale, sa katong nga item is 3 ang correct answer and would require a different scoring method. Learners who choose response option A, B, and D will get 1 point each. As such, if a learner chooses options A and D, he or she will obtain a score of 2 for that item. If he or she chooses options A, B, and D, he or she will get 3 points. Learners who choose the wrong option will be penalized using the negative marking method. So, inaano na siya? So, sa scored multiple answers scoring methods, inani ha? So, sa one item, bale, there is a kaning method nga score multiple answer scoring sa isa ka item na ay tulo ka correct answer. So, if ang iyang answer is letter A, B, and C. So, bali tanan nga correct answer is equivalent to 1 point each. So, dali ha, balik ta sa kaninga slide. So, if ang students is yung answer is letter A, B, and C. So, ang iyang points is 3 points. 3 points. Pero, kung ang students iyang answer is A and B lang, so equivalent to 2 points lang siya. Pero og feel niyang sa kanang item is isa ra ang answer na giingon naman nga kanang item is tulo ang correct answer. So ang score is 1 point lang. So sa multiple kaning method is tulo ka buok ang correct answer ani nga method. So, dapat mamili ka og tulo nga correct answer. Pero kung duha lang ang imo ang gipili nga answer, so it means, if correct na nga duha, so it means 2 points ang imong makuha. Pero og isa ra imong pilion nga correct answer, so isa ra. Pero, pag wrong, gani ang imong answer, so, it will be penalized using the negative marking method. So, na kabalod ba mo sa negative marking method? Katong right minus wrong. So, kung imo ang, so kana, example, 5 items, tapos multiple nga method. So, katong imo ang, so overall, imong nakuha nga score is, ikaw na to, 20 ang imong nakuha nga overall nga score. Tapos imong wrong is 10. Ayan. So, imong 20 nga correct answer, i-minus sa incorrect nimong answer. So, 20 minus 10 is equal to 10. So, that is negative marking method. Okay, let's proceed. So, retrospective correcting for guessing considers omitted or no answer items as incorrect, forcing learners to give an answer for every item, even if they do not know the correct answer. The correction for guessing is implemented later or retroactively. This can be done through comparing learners' answers in multiple choice items with their answers on other test formats such as short answer tests. So, ang retrospective correcting for guessing. If ang students is wala dyan siya kabalo sa answer, let us say, kung kanang students is dili dyan niya mag-determine kung asa ang correct answer. So, okay lang nga, iyaan ang circle ng kanang specific nga letter so that basta na lang siya ma-answer. Okay ra, basta na siya ma-answer. Mas okay pa nga ansiran na lang niya kaysa sa dili niya ansiran. So, mo ang retrospective correcting for guessing. Kasi namang may mga students dyan nga dili sila ka students nga dili dyan sila ka answer ana nga specific nga item. So, it is okay kung ansiran na lang nila bahalag dili sila sure anang answer kaysa sa ilang i-leave na nga item. So, ina na ang retrospective correcting for guessing. So, standard setting entails using standards when scoring multiple choice items, particularly standards set through norm, reference, or criterion reference assessment. Standard-based or norm reference assessments are derived from the test performance of a certain group of learners, while standards from criterion reference assessment are based on preset standards specified from the very start by the teacher of school in general. Okay, standard setting. So, paano sa makaan ang standard setting sa multiple choice? So, when I say norms, reference assessment. So, just like for example, so the mathematics department can set the passing score of 75% by rank. So, for the past 3 years, i-compare nato to ilang past 3 years og sa karon nila nga rank, which is ang 75. So, bale, ang English department got, let us say, 90%. So, ang criterion ng reference assessment is ang katong nakakuha og 90%, which is mo to ang mas taas. So, ma-compared na to sa katupong sa nakakuha og 75% para for the next ma-compared nila ang ilang kuha sa katong past 3 years o karon nga year para pagsunod nga final examination is mas ma-motivate pa sila nga pag-igihan ang ilang final examination. So, ang criterion reference assessment is katong mas taas katong bale ang higher nga nakakuha og percentile rank. So, mao to ang criterion reference assessment. Ang norms reference assessment is kanang i-comparison nila ang katong ilang i-comparison nila ang duha ka butang para ma-determine nila para in the next final examination is mas ma-motivate pa sila nga pag-igihan ang exam. So, ina to siya. So, marking or scoring constructed type of test such as essay and performance test require standardized scoring schemes so that scores are reliable and have the same valid meaning for all learners. There are four types of rating scales for the assessment of writing, which can also be applied to other authentic or performance type assessments. These four types of scoring are number one, holistic, number two, analytic, number three, primary trait, and number four, multiple rating scoring. So, kani siya nga marking or scoring is para mas naay validity ang pag-score sa usa ka specific nga test para um, okay. So kani nga marking or scoring constructed types of tests is such as essay and performance. This is kani nga mga criteria. Kani nga mga criteria is very known siya sa essay and performance test. Diri jud masulod ang kaning mga criteria test and holistic, analytic, primary trait, and multiple trait scoring. So kani siya mas mukuan jud ni siya nga pan sa performance o sa essay kay para mas valid pod nga mas masabtan pod sa learners nga yan ang ina nilang score para at the end of the day para makita po nila ang criteria kung paano sa para pag makita nilang criteria is dapat ina nilang buhatan nila ni kay para mas valid po and meaningful for all learners. So, number one is holistic scoring involves giving a single overall assessment score for an essay, writing composition, or other performance type of assessment as a whole, although the scoring rubric for holistic scoring lays out specific criteria for evaluating a task. Relators do not assign a score for each criterion. Instead, as they read a writing task or observe a performance task, they balance strengths and weakness among the various criteria to arrive at overall assessment. Holistic scoring is considered efficient in terms of time and cost. It also does not penalize poor performance based on only one aspect. Example, content, delivery, organization, vocabulary, or coherence for oral presentation. However, it is said that holistic scoring does not provide sufficient diagnostic information about the student's ability as it is not identify the areas for improvement and it is difficult to interpret as it does not detail the basis for evaluation. So, ang holistic scoring is more siya direct to the point lang jud nga rubric nga dapat mo lang jud to ang imo ang buhaton pareha sa the content. Example, magpa-performance ko kanang let us say jingle. So, dapat ang content sa ilang jingle, mora na ilang dapat as example, ako student, dapat nga naman sa criteria ang content. So, akong kuanan nga dapat ang content is mas mas strong ang akong content kay para mas dako ang ako ang points. Tas dapat akong pag-delivery is among pag-deliver is good. So, organization, kung saan mag-organize, ang vocabulary sa mo ang gihimo nga content and coherence. So, murag ang holistic is mura siya kanang kung unsa lang ang nasa rubric ang amo ang buhat wala na kay siya daghang interpretation and it is not dili na pud siya difficult nga sabton murag dali ka kay sabton ang holistic scoring. So, unlike sa okay, this is the example of rubric for an oral presentation. Okay. Rating grade, exemplary, satisfactory, emerging, unacceptable. So characteristic, it is very organized, has a clear opening statement that catches audience interest. Content of report is comprehensive and demonstrates substance and depth. Delivery is very clear and understandable. Uses slides, multimedia equipment effortlessly to enhance presentation. Is mostly organized, has opening statement relevant to the topic, covers important topics, has appropriate place and without distracting mannerism, looks at slide to keep on track, has opening statement relevant to the topic and but does not give outline of speech, is somewhat disorganized, lacks contents and depth in the discussion of the topic. Delivery is fast and not clear. Some items not covered well. Relies heavily on slides and notes and makes little eye contact. Has no opening statement regarding the focus of the presentation. Does not give adequate coverage of the topic. Is often hard to understand with voice that is too soft or too loud and piece that is too quick or to show. Just read slides, too much text. So this is the example of oral presentation rubric. So ano na lang siya, dili siya katong para sa analytic scoring. Kaya ang analytic scoring is too broad jud siya nga rubric. Unlike sa holistic, ang holistic kasi is katong main point lang jud. Main point lang ni mga dapat himuan nga inani. Tapos dili na kayo siya lisod nga i-interpret. Mas dali siya ang interpretation. So next is the analytic scoring involves assessing each aspect of a performance task is a writing, oral presentation, class debate, and research paper, and assigning a score for each criterion. Sometimes an overall score is given by averaging the scores in all criteria. One advantage of analytic scoring is its reliability. It also provides information that can be used as diagnostic as it presents learners' strengths and weaknesses and in what areas, and eventually as basis for remedial instructions. However, it is more time-consuming and therefore expensive. It also prone to halo effect wherein scores in one scale may influence the ratings of others. It's also difficult to create. Below is an example of analytic scoring for a research paper. In scoring learners' work is to be assessed based on different parts of the research paper, namely introduction, method, results, discussion, conclusions, and recommendations, as well as some criteria, spelling, grammar, documentation, and format. So, muna niya kung ingon nga, mas lisod ang analytic scoring kaysa sa holistic. Ang analytic kasi is too broad. Tapos, kanang time consuming po siya. Ang paghimo pa lang daan sa analytic scoring is time consuming. Dili para sa holistic ka, mas dali siya. Tapos, mas dali ra po siya sabton. Tapos, unlike sa analytic scoring, kanang pero hinon sa analytic is makita nimo ang weakness and strength sa bata. Yes, it's too broad, pero ano pod kaya ang iyang content sa analytic, pero it is difficult to create then. Yes, it is difficult to create kasi may tendency nga libog kasi siya himuon kasi daghan kay siya process para himuon ang analytic scoring. So this is the example of analytic scoring in the research paper. So this is rubric for a final research paper. So as can see more daghan kay siya og chachaburat siya more daghan kay siya og himuon para lang himo ni nga so taas kay siya. So it's so time consuming unlike sa holistic. Ang holistic is makabuhat ka with 2 columns lang ang iyang point ag ang iyang interpretation. Mara siya. Bale, ang sa rubric for a final research is too broad and so time consuming. So as you can see, so the criteria or indicators. So introduction clearly identifies and discusses. So it's too broad and it's too time consuming. So the difference between the holistic and the analytic is ang holistic is dili man siya sayon siya buhaton pero mas dali siya unlike sa analytic. Kasi ang sa analytic is daghan pa kay kag kanang himuon and it's very difficult. Mo na siya ang naka advantage man po ang analytic kay mas makuan ang bata nga mo na ni ang dapat himon mas ma-identify nila kung unsa ang mas best. Unlike sa holistic, ang holistic is maura man to ang gi-indicated dong dapat lang buhaton. So ang sa analytic is na siya mas best nga dapat himuon sa na siya. So that would be all my report. So again, thank you very much, ma'am, and have a nice day. Bye.